Wrong, 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 wrong. Everything just wrong, wrong, wrong. Everything is wrong. Ah, that was stressful. That was annoying. That actually happened. Yep. Not really surprising. Hey everybody, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic, and welcome back. The draft is behind us. Now the future of the NFL season is among us, and, well, besides, of course, knowing how many players I got drafted, are going to make the team, how many players are going to do, and the biggest thing is what jersey number they're going to wear. Some have already been established, some are still speculating, some have not been announced yet, and some of the players that got traded in the offseason, we don't even know. Some of them haven't even got a new jersey number yet, or they're going to get a new jersey number. We don't know. They're going to be payment under the table, be like, shh, give you 75 grand and let me get that jersey number one, whatever. It's exciting, it's fun, the draft is over, and I told you it's time to do the 2025 draft recap with every NFL team. And some of these, boy, have a lot, and some have barely any. So this is going to be fun. So the best thing about this is what is the order we're going to do it? How we're going to do what order? And, well, the team that got Mr. Irrelevant was the New England Patriots. So it means we're going to go to the AFC East to start us off in this long saga. And we're going to start with the New England Patriots. Yes, the New England Patriots are the first team on the draft clock, and they literally got an entire 11-man roster. This will be a fun video. So we're talking about the 2025 draft recap of the New England Patriots. Here we go. Okay, so how we're gonna do this? We're gonna go player by player. We're gonna do a little segment about them. I know there's a lot of players. This video might be a bit longer for some teams. So if you're a fan of the Patriots, this is about you, and only about you. Since you guys are still kind of reeling from what happened with Brady and Belichick to the point right now that you got Mike Vrabel, but that kind of feels like saying, "Oh look, the second favorite uncle has finally came back home. Yay, happy for us all." What the Patriots did, I think, was some picks of obvious, and some picks were, that's interesting, and some were just, okay, I don't know what you're going to do with that player, but I'll sit back and wait and see what you guys do. So with 11 picks in, we got a lot to do. Let's get right into it. With the fourth overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots obviously select Will Campbell, offensive tackle, LSU. There were a lot of speculations of maybe the Patriots trading out of it. They were talking about the Patriots maybe going offensively to give Drake Mason weapons. I had my picks. I mean, doing a quick little recap here. Should have been more prepared for this. But when they came to the Patriots pick in the first round, yeah, I said Will Campbell, obviously. Abdul Carter, if somehow he managed to get past the Giants, that's mainly because someone traded up to the Giants spot. That could potentially be it. But Will Campbell to protect your quarterback. Vrabel is in the trenches type of guy. This pick was one of those, obviously. A lot of the picks in the first, I'll probably say the first 10 rounds, first 10 picks, I think every single one of us was almost like 95% sure on what order they were going to be in. Now, we all know there's a big trade with Jacksonville, which we'll talk about when we're talking about the Jaguars, and of course about the Browns when we talk about the Browns. But the biggest thing is that a lot of the players went in the order we thought they're going to be in. The biggest surprise, though, was what team was going to be in that order. But the biggest thing is the players' orders, we all predicted it. So, not a big surprise. Vrabel, in the trenches. Will Campbell get picked up from LSU, the best offensive tackle to protect your young quarterback. I think we all can call this a no-brainer. A no-brainer pick. So, congrats to Campbell becoming a Patriot. I'm sure being drafted by the Patriots doesn't have the same type of status as it once did. So, hey, you got drafted by the Patriots. Congratulations. Next, we go to the second round with the 38th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. The New England Patriots selected Travion Henderson, running back, the Ohio State. This guy, I always have that screen pass against Texas in the playoffs where there was 25 seconds, 30 seconds, and he took it 75 yards to the house. That player remind me of a more physical Darren Sproles. This guy can catch, which I feel like that's probably out of the two Ohio State running backs, they were considering which one's going to go first, but they strongly believe that both were funny. They went back to back, so not really too much of a big gap in that. I feel like Henderson has more of the catching ability that maybe the Patriots want to utilize with their running backs. Because looking at the Patriots running back room, a lot of it just felt more like running backs. They catch the ball, they palm through, they can catch maybe thing, but doesn't have that thing of we rely on him for catches more than we rely on him to, run in between the tackles to get down the field. Henderson, I believe he offers the athleticism. To do a comparison to others, I really feel like he's maybe a more underappreciated receiving back, like many receiving backs were. I mean, the Patriots won games and Super Bowls with running backs catching the ball, aka the 28-3 comeback Super Bowl. So to me, this feels like going back to the days of old. And plus, his second to third to fourth and fifth gear go from 0 to 60 is so impressive that I believe in space he's more dangerous than just getting the ball behind the back and running between the tackles. So I feel like Henderson is being utilized more for his getting perimeter, catching short passes, or even just dump passes to bail out Drake May. This pick feels more of a safety valve for Drake May, and his second and third and need for speed gear is effective. So to me, good pick for the Patriots, and a very Patriot way. Running back with athleticism more than just running the ball, and offensive lineman blocking. Seems very Patriot way. And Vrabel's there, so it makes sense. We go to the third round, and let's all be mature here. With the 69th pick, stop laughing. With the 69th, stop it. Pick of the 2025 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots selected Kyle Williams, wide receiver, Washington State. I believe Kyle Williams is a wide receiver that I heard a lot about in the draft, but people thought he would probably be a late second round, early third round, so you can probably say it happened. The Patriots really have no receiving game. That's why, McMillan from Arizona was a potential idea in case somehow Will Campbell gets picked up before them. Someone trades up. That's why I put him there. But of course, another young quarterback picked him up. So quite frankly, I was right. So looking at a wide receiver, they need to give him something. The receiving department of the New England Patriots is honestly a bunch of temp agency agents. They're just coming in temporarily. No one has solidified themselves potentially as I'm here for the long term. They did get Stephon Diggs, which I kind of feel like that was obviously the reason like they got him. Yes, I know he came from a devastating injury. I know he's a little bit older than he is, but I'm not going to use ageism to disrespect a player of his caliber. But I do believe that Drake May, like I said in the recap, I kind of feel like he was dealt a bad hand when it came to his offensive firepower. That even though he was more successful than probably people expected, he didn't have enough tools, unlike his other rookie quarterback that had a lot more weapons around him. So I kind of felt like Drake May has not really been able to show his full potential because his entourage of athletes were not considered a high caliber compared to other rookies that had their high caliber receivers. So to me, this feels more of we need to give him another young wide receiver to develop, and also to not focus on Stephon Diggs the entire time. So to me, this feels more obvious as another viable weapon. And Henderson is also a viable weapon. I feel like these two are mainly just to give Drake May young, fresh talent to help him develop. To me, I feel like it's a good, logical pick. Maybe not the pick that a lot of wide receiver fans of the Patriots would have wanted, but I feel like this was like, dude, he's the best right now, and he has more intangible than we need to give him credit for. So to me, smart pick on getting a wide receiver, and not just a wide receiver blank, but a wide receiver with some recognized characteristics that I feel like he was evaluated heavily when it came to receiving core. If you'll stay in the third round, with the 95th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots selected Jarrett Wilson, center, Georgia. I feel like centers are one of those positions that people don't really focus on it, but when you do need a center, as a Buccaneer fan, we lost our center for 2 years, and we had to convert an offensive tackle that we initially drafted from Notre Dame and turn him into a center, to the point where now he's a center, and probably still be a center. But a good, solid center, and not to give too much, not criticism, but praising to big schools, but sometime when you hear the offensive lineman from Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, Alabama, you just get that sense of like, these are the big boys that play with the big boys, and they succeeded with the big boys. They played a tough game against basically potential either teammates or combatants in the NFL in the college level. A center for a young quarterback is beautiful. I mean, we've seen what Graham Barton did with Baker Mayfield. We've seen what other centers have done in the past with young quarterbacks, where they have developed like, you are protecting me against everyone else. You are my number one guy right now, and you're there for me. Basically, just grab the ball between your legs. That's basically what a quarterback center does. Is basically that's the quarterback center exchange. Let's not be gross about it. So them to get a solidified center, going is it, Mike Vrabel is basically making the New England Patriots offensive line SEC based. We got the best offensive tackle from LSU. We got a center from Georgia, which I feel like a lot of people felt like, he kind of dropped a little bit. People thought he might would have been a little higher up, but sometimes in the draft, as much as someone's graded as high, sometimes some things as arm's length, arm size, intangibles, big butt, small butt, bench press, sprint, whatever. Sometimes those little numbers here and there can determine a player that's potential to be a second round pick, drop to an early third round or even a late third round pick. That doesn't disrespect the player's talent. It's just that sometimes it comes to a number game of an A- to an A- plus. So to me, a solidified center is building up his offensive line, which basically screams the Vrabel way. We go to the fourth round, and with the 106th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots selected Craig Woodson, safety, California. Okay, so we're going back to defense. The New England Patriots defensive side of the ball, besides Gonzalez, I kind of feel like it's a little bit like, anyone else? Anyone else? I kind of feel like Vrabel wanted to make sure that Drake May is not going to struggle his first few rookie season. So a lot of time, including the weapon, were designed to protect Drake May. So later in the round, he went to defense, which Vrabel's a defensive-minded coach. He played defense at Ohio. He played defense at Ohio State. He played the Patriot, and also he coached defense at Ohio State. So it kind of makes sense that he goes back to his natural route when it comes to defense by getting defensive help. Besides Gonzalez on the defensive side of the Patriot, I cannot think on the top of my head a Patriot defensive player that has stand out. I mean, there are defensive players in the NFL that always stand out because they have made impact that transcend just the local community knowing them. There are players that everyone knows that are not considered great, but the locals are calling them, fan favorites. When it comes to the Patriots, I have crickets. I cannot think on the top of my head. Maybe there are some players there that are popular, but my brain is literally drawing a blank. The only person I can think of is Gonzalez on the defensive side because how well he has done very early in his career. Everyone else, crickets. So them getting a secondary help, honestly, they got 11 picks, and I feel like the Patriots literally went to the buffet of players and got like one of everything. Interior, offensive line, exterior, wide receiver, running back, safety, long snapper, kicker, corner, all that. They got a sample of everything. Basically, they got the best caliber player per round they needed to be like, this is the best corner. We need the best corner. We need to say they took everything, and now they're going to make this lovely salad together of players. So them getting Craig Woodson is not a big loss here. Keep in mind that a lot of these things is basically on the eye test and just statistical numbers. I have not watched every single player's highlights. I'm sorry, I do have a life. But looking at it in the aspect of that, this to me is obviously just not just added depth, but also I feel like added, I had a word. It's not depth, but there is no position in the Patriots defense that I feel like is like, you're here for a backup. I feel like some of these players that are being drafted later will be like, you may be considered a backup by round position by, commentators and, critics, but you could be a day one start. You could be a week one starter. Depends on camp goes. So don't let this, where you were drafted, what round, what number you were, dictate your initial day one status. Woodson could be a day one starter in week one. So we don't know. But to me, that's a good pick. Then the fourth round, still at the 137th pick of the 2025 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots selected Joshua Farmer, defensive tackle, Florida State. We're going back to the trenches and we're going back to the Florida State. And I mean, I'm going to give credit to Florida State because even though the season was not the way they wanted to, and by that, that's like saying like, a burning fire is not meant to, clean out the cockroaches, but is an effective way nonetheless. We all remember Verse and Fisk from Florida State, how Florida State's defense was the catalyst before, sadly, Jordan Travis's injury, which, by the way, he just announced retirement at age 24 due to the leg injury. So, Godspeed to his full recovery into a life beyond football. But it's disappointing how a young talented player, which I really thought he was going to be something that the New York Jets sadly did not turn out to be. But God bless him. God bless his family. Hopefully, he has a full and long living life beyond football. But hey, he will always be known as a draftee. He was one of the draft picks in the NFL. So take that as you will. Better than most. So seeing Farmer, who was in that defensive room, defensive coaching staff that assembled basically a two-headed monster in the Los Angeles Rams to the point they basically kind of made up for the missing of Aaron Donald's early retirement. Yeah, early retirement, 10 years early retirement. Leave me alone. So to me, him being developed by the same defensive player, this could be a diamond in the rough for it, but it all depends on Vrabel's strategy. Vrabel's defense at Tennessee I believe, was underappreciated by most. He didn't have the star caliber player that most teams have when it comes to defensive power. But to me, getting the Farmer here as a probably interchangeable rotational play for the interior side, especially if the Patriots still go to a 3-4 defensive style, which I think they're still going to a 3-4 defensive style. I gotta double check that. But even then, rotational player, young depth, we'll see how it looks. But if he was coached and trained in the same room as Verse and Fisk, not saying they're the same caliber talent, but I'm thinking we cannot say that he did not absorb and learned and perfect his technique. I don't feel with Vrabel looking in the trenches. I feel like Vrabel is more like, I'm more into the trench guy, so I know what I'm looking for when it comes to interior linemen. And this guy has talent, and this guy has caliber, and I feel like he's going to appreciate it. The sad thing is that Florida State kind of sucked, so therefore you never really get him to see how good he was, because it was always about, man, the Florida State offense sucked. Sometimes it's hard to be the best team, best player on a bad team, because you can't really stand out because the spotlight is not on you, not on the team, and therefore it's not on you. And then we go to the fifth one. With the 146th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots selected Braden Swinson, edge, LSU. Vrabel is just assembling SEC players to develop his line. When it comes to Swinson, I guess he's trying to develop, I think the Patriots are going to stay in their 3-4 defensive scheme. I want to see if I can do a little email check here. But while that's loading, pass rush is always a rotational player because not every time you can get someone there. I feel like when they let Judon went because his production kind of dropped and went to the Falcons and kind of had a struggle to get himself back to what he was, or at least somewhat, worth the price of admission. That besides that, the Patriots really had no one to really, dictate that. And I think Vrabel might have to rely on sacking quarterback by committee for right now until the player development to the one-man crew. We have seen tons of players developed, some even great players, Max Crosby, that were late-round picks, Yaya Diaby. There's a lot of players that did not develop right away as people expected them to do in the first round, and some have developed greater that were 5th, 4th round picks. So to me, could Swinson be that type of player? I don't know, but the pedigree of LSU and the reputation of it, I'm going to rely on that to dictate it. And I'm going to trust Vrabel, who's a defensive-minded coach. Sometimes you got to trust the position-minded, or at least the side of the football coach, when it comes to his pick. You would trust an offensive-minded head coach when you draft wide receivers in the 3rd and 4th and 5th round, right? So let's trust Vrabel to trust who picked the defensive players in the 4th, 5th, and 6th round, because, especially when it comes to a position like linebackers and line that he's more accustomed to. Since Vrabel was basically that, interchangeable linebacker when he played for the Patriots. So to me, I'm going to trust Vrabel on his picks. And I think a lot of Patriot fans are kind of almost giving thumbs up for every defensive player that Vrabel picked, thinking he knows what he's doing because that's what he specialized in at Ohio State and when he was in Tennessee, and he was a player for that position. So I think we will trust them more than other coaches, like say if he was a tight end minded coach and he's coaching the defense now. I think it's a little bit more different. So here I'm going to trust Vrabel for his style of football and for his selection of players. And I guess we can just move on. I'm still trying to pull up, here we go. Let me see if I can find the Patriots will be running 3-4. So 3-4 defense makes more sense. Then we go to the 6th round with the 182nd pick of the 2025 NFL Draft. The New England Patriots selected Adrian Borgales, kicker, Miami. Now, I said this in my recap video last year. For those of you that stick around, hey, welcome back. For those of you that are new, I did this last year. If you are a special team player, punter, kicker, long snapper, unless you get injured, which God forbid, knock on wood, or you really suck, which trust me, there are some, you are being drafted to be the starter. Because I do not think a team, if they only had 7 picks, Patriots have 11, but let's say that you're drafted as a kicker, punter, and long snapper to not be the kicker, punter, or long snapper for a team. So I think we all can agree, any team that drafted a kicker, long snapper, punter are probably meant to be the guy by the start of week 1. I think we all can agree. God forbid an injury dictates it, and of course, you played really bad. Because I don't feel like a team is willing to sacrifice a draft pick to put you in when more than likely some team will be like, just pick him up as an undrafted free agent and then worry about it. So, to me, you got a kicker from Miami, from the U. He's been an accurate kicker for the Hurricanes. You brought him in here, and the Patriots have a long history of kickers, making, Pro Bowls and game-winning clutch kicks. So to me, this is obviously one of those things where it's like, he's the kicker, he was drafted. More than likely, he's going to be the week 1 starter. So let's move on. No disrespect to him, but everyone else, even Campbell might have a few competition before he finally gets the starting job. You, sir, is basically, it's your job unless you screw it up. Then we go to the 7th round with the 220th pick of the 2025 NFL Draft. The New England Patriots selected Marcus Bryant, offensive tackle, Mizzou. Seriously, Vrabel is developing the SEC All-Star team when it comes to his players. He selected another offensive tackle out of Mizzou. Now, do I believe Bryant is going to be a week 1 starter? Probably not. According to ESPN.com, Marcus Bryant is viewed as potentially the backup to the right tackle behind Morgan Moses. This is according to ESPN.com. Now, I know some people have different references and things might change, but this is just according to ESPN.com that I have in front of me by the time of this recording. So it may change by the time the video comes out, or not. But we have to trust, as a Patriots fan that I am not, we have to trust Vrabel's thought process. He's selecting depth. He's selecting young players. He's picking them from a lot of them the same conference. LSU, Georgia, Mizzou. Funny, he's picking these big boys from the same conference, so I believe he does have, which therefore it would be kind of funny if he had like Big Ten bias since he coached Ohio State, and he was that he probably would have been selecting more Big Ten player, but I guess he has more of an SEC love for the players. So building up depth, building up young players that could potentially be, starters eventually. And the big thing is that they're late round picks. They could be cheap, which is kind of a mean thing to say, but they could be cheaper to re-sign to extension of your contract instead of, the top 50 pick offensive tackles. Like I said, if Campbell developed into the Joe Thomas type level career, Campbell is going to be that player that gets paid like nearly $85 million for like a 4-year deal. Like, he'd be one of the highest paid offensive tackle. I mean, Tristan Wirth has done that, but someone's going to surpass him eventually. It happens. But if Bryant becomes a Pro Bowl player, he might be like a $40 million for a 4-year deal and be $10 million a year instead of playing Campbell, who's Campbell's going to be probably like almost 15 to 20 million a year, because that's how the system goes. And of course, Drake may develop, of course, that'll be kudos to Campbell's success as well. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So, that is for the Patriots, which, like I said, we trust Vrabel. Then 2 more picks. We're in the 7th round. With the 251st pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots selected Julian Ashby, long snapper, Vandy. All right, it's a long snapper. Say it with me, everybody. He's a day 1 starter. A team is not, especially if you have 11 picks, and you spend 2 of them on basically a position that most teams only have 1 of, long snapper, kicker, and punters. We all can say confidently that Julian is going to be the day 1 starter, unless he really sucks or, God forbid, an injury. So what more can I say except that, hey, dude, you're drafted. You could have been an undrafted free agent. For all I know, he might still have been there as an undrafted free agent. But the Patriots said, we're not taking that risk. Let's get him. Let's get him. So basically, the Patriots got literally, almost 65% of their starting special teams. And they got to get they already have a punter, so they're okay. So to me, this was, long snapper. We all knew it was going to happen. Day one starter. Congrats to him. I'm sorry, but let's move on. And with the last pick for the Patriots, which happened to be Mr. Irrelevant. This is the reason why I picked them first. They were the last pick. They're the first to talk about. In the 7th round, with the 257th pick, Mr. Irrelevant, the last player selected in the 2025 NFL Draft by the New England Patriots, they selected Kobe Minor, corner, Memphis. Because of what Brock Purdy has done, Mr. Irrelevant, I think it's made every last pick have like this unnecessary pressure to be somewhat make the 53-man roster type of attitude and hopefully beyond. Some players have done it. Some players have basically been a glorified special team player and they just hop from team to team just to fill depth. Sometimes to develop into a rotational player. But let's be real. I've always felt like 7th round pick player, especially the ones that are defensive backs, the corners and the safeties. I believe a lot of time it's their athleticism, their speed, their quickness is more of the reason they get drafted, because then they believe that they have time to develop them into potential rotational players. Because sometimes what I would learn from a lot of coaches, you can't teach speed. You can't teach it. So if these players that are defensive back that are picked in the late rounds, places like the 7th round, I always feel like their athleticism is more of the factor of their draft status than their stats in the line. Now, that's not disrespecting. I'm just saying they're getting on a team because they can run, they're quick, they're agile, and then kind of like a huge chunk of marble. Now with an NFL coaching staff, and your whole life and income is based around this job, they're going to chisel and mold you into a defensive back worthy of. Now we're going to put you on the field that's not just running back and down around the field before they literally disregard special teams altogether. They haven't done that yet, but it's getting close. So that to me is no disrespect to Minor, but it's how I view a lot of 7th round players being drafted that are mainly the athletic players, especially defensive back, that need to rely on interchanging quickly and to keep up with other players' paces. So they're more of a reason. That's why I feel like defensive backs are probably the most athletic players in all of NFL and all of football. They have to be. So that is the Patriots. Like I said, they had 11 picks. This is a long video to start this off. Grade I give it, my grading system is different. I have contender, I have got better, and I have a not yet. That's my grading system I did last year. I'm doing it again this year because I want to be better than just saying numbers. To me, with all this, I'm going to give it a not yet. I don't think the Patriots are there yet. Now, there's a lot of teams that were not yet that became great. One is called the Washington Commanders. I gave them a not yet, and they happen to be one game away from the Super Bowl. So, I'm okay eating crow on that one. For the Patriots right now, because of what happened last year and how I feel like they're still new again. New head coach again. That I just feel like we have to see it. So for me, the Patriots are a not yet. They're not yet there yet. And because I want to be a little special, the one player I really want to focus on that I'm going to consider my star favorite, I'm giving it to Henderson, the running back from Ohio State. I'm not going to say Bucky Irvin type excitement, but I'm thinking if Henderson can showcase, explosive plays here and there, kind of what Gibbs did, kind of what Bucky Irvin did, I'm going to be excited for the Patriots because, one, I'll take pressure off Drake May, plus it'll make him very dangerous. So, to me, my star player, my favorite player is Henderson. I say we look at him and see what we can do. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the New England Patriots. That is the first video of the 2025 recap. They had 11 picks, so of course this will be a very long video. The rest will not be like that. I'll try to be more focused. So, we're going to stay in the AFC East, of course. I'm going to go from New England to, well, basically next door. We're going to talk to the Jets and figure out if they have recovered from the Aaron Rodgers nightmare, let's call it. So, next time is the Jets, and we'll see what they do with their picks. Until then, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you so very much for watching.